Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Oh, don't turn the channel. You're here, and we're here. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes. Even though the theme song has been changed, as we always do for the start of the holiday season, as soon as Thanksgiving is over, well, the formal day of Thanksgiving is over, we kick into Christmas ASAP. So we're going to do some Christmas music during the shows here between now and Christmas Day, which is also a Wednesday. Terrific. We get to do a show while you're trying to enjoy your ham dinner. That should be fun. Okay. Anyway, Maui Nonprofit Notes. We're now in our 10th year of broadcasting, and each week we continue talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and their staff to find out how they're working to support those with needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and in many cases creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show talking with Tom Blackburn Rodriguez. I got it right that time.
Very nice.
Woo! Who is the executive consultant for Go Maui.
You can say Tom Blackburn Rodriguez, and I'll tell you that my people are from Madeira and we live up country. And that would work because that would be my Portuguese half.
Gee. So you'll answer to anything.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, whatever we want to call you.
Thank you.
Okay, I got that. All right, so Go Maui sounds like something that we want to know more about.
Well, Go Maui is a private nonprofit, all-volunteer organization. It's got an all-volunteer board, and we do accept donations at, I'll give you the web page later, but we are focused on the need for affordable housing. We're strong advocates on affordable housing projects. We also look at water issues. We look at sustainable economic development and the effects of our economic policies that the county and state make on ranchers, farmers, homeowners, and working people. And we're very strongly in support of good paying jobs with good benefits.
Now, when you talk about advocacy, you're working with, in some cases, the general public, but primarily you're trying to tell the rest of the story, so to speak. Who was that, Paul? What was his name? The radio guy who said, and now for the rest of the story?
I don't remember. I think he's dead.
Yeah, he is. He is, but... Paul Harvey. Yeah. Out of Chicago, wasn't he, or something? And he'd end his show and now for the rest of the story.
Now you know the rest of the story.
Now you know the rest of the story. I love that.
I liked Walter Winchell when he goes to America and all the ships at sea. Now that's the one I remember.
I see. I think that's. Well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Yes, it's way before my time.
I see. Okay, somebody told you about that.
I've heard about it.
You heard the
I've
recording.
heard about your show. 10 years on the air. Gosh.
Yeah, incredible, huh?
That is really good. Well, you've got talent. You got good guests.
Woo! I think there was a compliment in there somewhere.
Right. Throw it back to me.
Yeah. I'll try to think of one as we continue with the show. Primarily, you're trying to give the rest of the story. That's where I got off track.
Okay.
To those who vote on these issues and discuss these issues with the public.
That's correct, Susie. We're not a mass-based organization. We are an organization with a board of directors, and what we do is we try and focus on the policymakers, and we try and focus on policy issues and issues that are before governmental and regulatory bodies, and that's really our focus. So we're looking at state legislature, committees. We're looking, and primarily we focus a lot on the Maui County Council, which has all kinds of issues that come before it. And we study those. And the other thing that we like to do, and we always like to tell people, is You can disagree without being disagreeable.
Right.
Okay. It sounds like you're talking to a child, but in reality, we have to talk to everybody and say, look, because you disagree with me, I don't think you're corrupt. Okay? I think you have a different opinion, and we should be able to go have a beer or whatever after we disagree, and we should be able to talk. That is really critical because one of our concerns is that the rhetoric has gone up in disagreements, but I'm not sure if the facts have matched the rhetoric. So we try and get the facts, the rhetoric, and we give a great deal of respect to those who are opposed to our positions.
Right. And everybody is entitled to their opinions, and that's what you try to keep sacred. Is you can have your opinion, I have my opinion. We're just saying here's why we have our opinion.
And we try and be fact-based. We kind of the late Senator Moynihan from New York said one time, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but not their own facts.
Aha.
So
Well,
we try and introduce that into the conversation.
how true that is today, right?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's just I don't know that I've ever seen a time when there are so many facts that contradict each other. Quote unquote facts.
Yes. Well, there's there's the alternate reality that some public officials talk about, and then there's the other reality that the most of us live in. One of the realities we live in here on Maui is there's not enough housing for working families. And that's why that's such a critical issue for us. And one of the things I hope we would get a chance to talk about, some of the alternatives that are coming up. You know, the council in their last budget put in money for what they called alternative or experimental housing. And I think that's really great. And it was because we need to look at all options that are on the table. And there's some new innovative things that are coming up that we could talk about on the show.
Okay. Let's jump into it.
Well, one of the things I think is interesting is shared housing. Okay. Now, we all know roommates and we all share and what have you, but this is housing that is being specifically built to be shared housing. Okay, so that the rooms are large, it's affordable housing, has to meet all the requirements. There's you have mediation if there's disputes between roommates and what have you. It's actually cheaper to build a shared housing unit or to put them in existing apartments than it is to build a freestanding small apartment for people. It's about 46% less expensive when you get into shared housing, and you get all the benefits of energy efficiency, safety, these kinds of things. So shared housing is beginning to show up quite a bit, like in New York and some of the other major cities, where the housing prices are so high, and the supply is inelastic. It's not expanding as fast as they need. So shared housing is something that may come to Maui. I think it's if you go down to the college where they initially built what were going to be student dorms, and those were shared units. Okay, where there's like
behind the Shell station.
Right.
Okay.
Those were essentially shared units because you'd have different students living together. That hasn't all worked out the way they expected it to because the huge wave of Chinese students that were supposed to come didn't show up. So that's kind of like an idea of one aspect of shared housing that may evolve that way.
So they had their own living quarters, but
Right.
they shared a kitchen, like on each floor or something, wasn't it?
No, but what you would have is, let's say, 2 or 3 bedrooms. Everyone would have their own bedroom. You have a shared living room, a common area. You would have like maybe 1 or 2 bathrooms, and then you'd have a kitchen area. So the kitchen area would be a common area, the living room would be a common area, and then everyone would have their own bedroom and the rules of the house. That may be something we need to look at because there's a lot of people here, single people, for example, who would love to have something like that, and all they need is a place, and it's safe and attractive, and so shared housing is a growing movement on the mainland, and when you take a look at some of the housing we have here, it could easily be shared housing, as we convert things.
40 years ago, HUD was a big proponent of shared housing. Not exactly what you're talking about, but they were encouraging organizations like us who house the mentally, physically challenged folks who can live on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And they were putting out there that you should build like a 2-bedroom unit that shared a bath and shared a living room and shared a kitchen, but the 2 bedrooms were totally separate individuals. Didn't know each other until they moved into that space. And we have one of those still that we operate over by the hospital.
Well, at that time, they were using a terminology SROs, or single room only apartments, or the shared units would often have the bathroom would be down the hall, kind of thing. So
this one is in between the 2 bedrooms.
So there were challenges with that in terms of, you know, they're kind of ugly. They were in depressed areas. People really didn't know if they wanted them or not. But what they're talking about now is like renovating, you know, like brownstones in New York City and turning them into shared apartments in other places. So the concept has evolved. But you're absolutely right. It did start back then. And the idea of the SROs and the people living together was also one of the reasons that wasn't as successful as it needed to be, was because you had to have the services that those folks needed accessible to them.
Right.
Okay. So if you were going to do that kind of a development or a housing, you wanted to have like a counselor on staff. You wanted to have people there, and the funding often wasn't there to make that glue work. But the concept was good, and it is evolving along.
Right.
So.
And I think one of the interesting things in regard to that with the services that you're talking about is that, like in our facility, nobody gets in without having their own counselor or their own, what's the word I want, representative type of thing for their particular
Like their own
issue.
advocate.
Yeah. And so that if something happens to any of them, they're the first point of contact. You know, what's going on? Are they off their meds? Whatever the case might be. You know, like I say, we have one of those still that we use. And we keep talking about trying to figure out how to put a second floor on those buildings to turn them into 2-bedroom units for like a small family or young family with some issues. But we run into the things with the parking spaces. There's just no way to double the parking spaces in a space like that.
Well, that is a challenge, and the housing for the folks that you're talking about, that kind of communal can be very critical to their health and their welfare. This concept is saying, okay, this is for the general market.
Right.
But now we see that people, it kind of like codifies the old roommate thing, you know, where when I was going to school, let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us in a 3-bedroom apartment. I think we turned one room, the dining room, off the kitchen, became a bedroom. Okay,
gotcha.
so when it comes to shared housing, I'm an expert.
You know it, yeah, right.
But the other thing that's really interesting, you probably see this on TV, is tiny homes.
Yep.
And there are a couple here around Maui. If you go down to Kihei, where they have all the food trucks on Ikea Avenue, there is a model there of a tiny house. And that's catching on. And I think there is some talk in the county about allowing those to be built now. There was a push against them because you can't put trailers up and all
Right.
that kind of thing. So tiny homes are another innovative concept. And I would encourage people to go look at the demos that are out there. I've watched the TV show, but the challenge is when you see television, the rooms are always much bigger.
They sure look bigger.
than in reality. Okay, so you really got to know. Can you really put 2 kids and your dog in this house? But there's some innovative construction things happening with tiny homes as well. Again, looking at what is the reality of the housing market. Susie, for so long, what was a house? A house was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Okay. Built out to the edges of the lot, okay?
Right, your ranch style. Fill up the lot, 1 story.
Well, you go out to Texas, and there are these big homes, 4 bedroom, 3 bathrooms, and
4,000 square feet.
Huge high ceilings that mean that it's almost impossible to heat or cool.
Right.
And you're living in an area that you got to have air conditioning, but the only way you get it is you climb a ladder and get to the get to the top of the place. So your energy bills are huge.
Right.
Okay. Now people are recognizing that controlling those costs is part of controlling the cost of housing itself. I mean, if you can afford the rent but can't afford the electric bill, which is not unusual here on Maui, you're going to get calls from Miko. But so that
Fact of life.
So tiny homes, shared living, these are ways to deal with the market as it is now. That maybe people don't need a starter home that has two to three bathrooms and 3 to 4 bedrooms
Right.
now. The Hali Maui is building some houses like.
I'm going to
like
stop
4
you right
bedrooms.
there, and we'll come back and talk about that after the break.
All right, good.
Aloha,
We'll come back.
This is Paul from Pacific Source. We'd like to wish everyone the happiest of holidays and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and Lock and Tina folding doors. Maybe you can give your home a holiday gift that you'll love. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380 or look us up online at packsource.com.
Oh, there's one of my favorite songs and one of my favorite groups for Christmas, Mannheim Steamroller. And we forgot to say after the opening, that was Andy Williams, right?
Yes.
Aha. I'm getting better.
You are getting better.
He used to throw out some, and I'd say somebody who's within the last 40 years, and it'd be somebody who was 60 years ago. And I go, what? How would I know that? Hello. Anyway.
Just carry a list of anecdotes with you. Kind of like the quarterback.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Oh, that must be that one, yes.
Well, before the break, I was saying about
Nahali Maui.
Nahali Maui building houses. Now, some of their houses are like 4-bedroom because they're geared towards Hawaiian families with large families. But the idea that you have to build these mega houses is kind of fading away. It doesn't really meet the market, what the market needs.
Right.
And so those are some ideas that are happening around. I think there are new shared housing, the tiny homes. Another thing that is gaining a lot of credence.
Can I back you up just a second?
Go right ahead.
There was also some movement towards trying to do tiny homes as cottages or as ohana units.
Right.
Because they were more compact and ready to go. You could almost just bring them in and set them down. Whereas building a cottage becomes expensive if you do it from scratch.
And they're on wheels.
And they're on wheels, yes.
So you can put them right there in the back.
But that's what they were opposed to, was the keeping them on wheels, right?
I'm not sure what
like
the
trailers, etc.
I'm not sure what the total opposition was on that. I do know that if they're on wheels, there are certain kinds of rules that they don't have to follow because they're mobile. That's why you have food trucks. Because they're mobile, okay? Or you have like coffee places
right.
along, and you see them by the Old Dairy Road, and you see them there, and they're on wheels. And
right.
that's because of county regulations have something to do with wheels and what can be moved and what can't be moved.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So there's all these little things you have to be careful about in what you do. And what I was about to say is that one of the ways that communities are dealing with those kinds of rules and what you need to do is through a process called inclusionary zoning.
Mm.
So what's inclusionary zoning? I'm a builder, okay, I want to build an apartment house, all right? Under inclusionary ruling laws, let's say I'm building 30 units, okay? let's say 5 of those have to be set aside as affordable rentals. Or, and here's the thing that people are always concerned about, the Constitution and what can we allow, what can we not allow. You can set aside some of those homes, some of those apartments for veterans.
Okay.
So you might have 30 units, and let's say 3 are for veterans and 5 are affordable. That's the inclusionary zoning.
Okay.
That's put in there, and that really helps. If you're doing something in a neighborhood, it helps turn it away from a NIMBY, because they're saying, oh, wait a minute, we're going to benefit from this. Property values aren't just going to go up and force us out. We're actually going to be putting housing in here for folks who need it affordable. So inclusionary zoning, which we haven't really gotten deeply into here in Maui County, but we do have zoning requirements and, of course, affordable housing rules. That's another concept that's growing in order to be able to use the existing housing or new housing more efficiently, more effectively. And I think that's kind of what we need to look at here in Maui.
Right.
How can we be more effective and efficient in the kind of housing we build, and what does the market really need? Okay?
Right.
And what we're finding is inclusionary zoning on the mainland, the ideas of tiny homes, the ideas of shared living, these work for people. In New York City, for example, they were going into one of these developments, and they found that the folks who were interested in shared housing were all working, and their average annual wage was $58,000 a year. Okay, but $58,000 a year
In New York,
in New
forget
York
it.
City, we'll get you a steak, a cup of coffee, and a pat on the back. But nonetheless, so you see that they have money, but the market is well outpaced them, which is what happens here too.
Right. We've got that right here. Yeah. It's I guess the thing to me that I find so interesting, and I obviously I stay on top of this because we're looking for another location to build a small subdivision like we just finished last year, and it's hard.
Talking about Pacific.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm Lokahi Pacific, and it's we can't find anything that's within price where you could go in and do something affordable. I mean, without trying to get tons of subsidies. Which I'm not opposed to that, but it's like, why? You know, why isn't the infrastructure closer? Why can't we get property like Mokoha was perfect? It had infrastructure right there, but that's not the usual. And so as people start looking at the opportunities, they get delayed. And that's where we were talking earlier before the show about permits and all kinds of things. And I mean, we're talking about doing some renovation on one of our buildings, and the folks who are handling all the architectural work and so forth are saying you're looking at 2 years, probably 2.5 years from start to finish to do this. And I'm going, why? And they said, well, you got to take at least 6 months out of the middle for permits. And I'm going, what? It's a renovation. It's not brand new. But they said that doesn't make any difference. That's the current time frame.
Well, it's very important that your listeners understand that the length of time it takes to have a project permitted is also a cost factor.
Right.
If you're doing an affordable housing project and you've got to wait 8 months or a year, for example, to get clearance from SHPTA, State Historical Preservation, nothing else can go forward until after SHPTA says it's okay to go forward. So that means that every month an additional cost is being added, probably about 3%, maybe 5% over time, will be added to the cost of that affordable housing unit. So it's very important that we have reform, and I know the county is working on this, but we need to have some radical reform in the way that our permitting is done, not just at the county, also the state. The state is very slow. They're understaffed. There's only one staff person to cover the entire county of Maui for SHPTA.
Oh my gosh!
And I was talking to a friend of mine today at breakfast, and he said that poor woman gets hundreds of emails every day.
Sure.
Okay, and it's not her fault.
Right.
It takes time to get to everything because she doesn't have any staffing. Now, the county, I think, was talking about hiring an archaeologist.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
that was
go find me an archaeologist who's going to move here and not be able to afford a home.
right.
It's
That's
not,
right.
It's not going to happen. SHPTA hires them, and they last, and they go.
Right.
So the affordable housing problem not only affects our ability to build, it also affects our ability to permit. You
Right.
talk about infrastructure. The challenge with infrastructure is the building model for so many years was to move people away, okay, to move them out and away from the central city.
Yeah.
And that means that the infrastructure in the city deteriorated,
Right.
and the cost of infrastructure out there went up, and so you get caught in this double bind,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
In the central city, things are falling apart, okay? I mean, some of our pipes are made out of clay, and then as you move farther out, it gets very expensive. So
Right.
you're kind of caught between the famous rock and a hard place
Yeah.
on this.
So I'm stuck back
Go
with,
ahead.
with the State Historic Preservation folks. They built this nice new building for them to work out of over on Mahalani Street after years of working out of almost garage type facility. I mean, when I'd have to go over there for a meeting, it was like, oh my gosh, really?
That's across from
Cameron Center.
across from Cameron Center.
Yeah, and so now they've got this nice new building, but now they've only got one person. When I was over there, they had three, I think, 4 years ago. But I know one by one they've all taken other kinds of jobs, not even in the archaeological field, and it's like whoa. So yeah, I mean there's so many things, and just like you say, the cost is all related to the time.
Exactly, and we've got on Maui something that is innovative that other municipalities across the nation are getting more and more into, which is an affordable housing fund, and we finance it with taking off the top now 4%, was 2%, now 4% off the real property tax, and setting that aside from at the get-go into the affordable housing fund. The question is, do you have the projects for that fund? Now, I'm not in charge of how that should be allocated, but it would seem to me that if I'm trying to get an archaeologist and they can't find an affordable place to live, maybe take some money out of the affordable housing fund and subsidize the people that you need, because they're part of your infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we define things too narrowly. We can't do that because it hasn't been done before, or that would be wrong, we're giving somebody benefit. Well, I don't know,
Yeah.
because we need these people in order to get the work done. And the homeless problem will never go away without homes.
Right.
That, now there are people who will not go in, but there's a lot of people who would if they could, and there's a lot of families sleeping in their cars
Right.
now,
Oh, Tom, that's not the note we wanted to end on.
Well, we shouldn't end on that. We should end on the
Bring it
fact.
around.
We end on the fact that no, I was going to say the Arctic's melting, so there goes Santa Claus. I was trying for a thing.
Come on, an uphill thing.
But I will say this: there is a new development
Okay.
at Pulehua. I would say to people, take a look at it. It's innovative. It's interesting. It's running through the process now.
And where is it?
This is in Lahaina.
Okay.
It's where Maui Land and Pine was going to develop below the airport.
Okay.
It's going to have about 1,000 units. That's a lot
Wow.
of units. It's a park and stuff. So it's good. There's going to be controversy around it. Go Maui has not yet taken a position. We hope to have a presentation in January. So that's where we are. But to close, I'd like to say one thing. I was in the Bank of Hawaii the other day, and I saw a box. And it was a box where I could put a toy for Friends of the Children's Justice Center. So I urge everyone, if you want to feel good and end this interview, go into a bank or go into a store, and if you see a box, Friends of Children's Justice Center, put a toy in there, an unwrapped toy,
Right.
and don't forget the older children, the
Right.
teenagers, okay?
Up to 18 years of age.
Up
yes.
to 18 years of age. So go to the bank, put a toy in the
Right.
box, and
or a
make
gift card.
make somebody happy.
Yeah, there
How's
you go.
that?
There
Okay.
you go. We're all for it.
Okay.
Tom, thank you very much for being here, and a Merry Christmas to you and your wife. And keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invitation, and good luck on your 11th year.
Whoa, yeah, starting soon.
Aloha.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, hello. Come and join
Aloha.
us. We have Cheryl Lindley, who is the executive director of the Maui Pops Orchestra. Oh, it's that season. Oh, I love this season for Pops.
Well, this is a great time of year for music. The performing arts on Maui is rich with all kinds of offerings this season, and the Maui Pops Orchestra will be opening our season December 15th at the Castle Theater at the MAC, 3 o'clock, with the orchestra playing a bunch of great traditional holiday music, and then we'll be joined in the second half with pianist David Benoit and vocalist Sarah Gazarek. And David Benoit was on the stage with us February of 2017. He's a phenomenal jazz pianist. He's got multiple Grammy nominations, and he's amazing. And of course, you think the name Benoit, you realize, wait a minute, we've got some Benoits here. Yes, Phil Benoit is David's brother, and so I know that Phil and Angela will be in the audience for that concert as well. Now, Sarah Gazarek is a phenomenal new. She's been around for a bit, but she is really starting to raise eyebrows. In fact, her album Thirsty Ghost has just been nominated for a 2020 Grammy Award for Best Jazz Vocal Album. So we're really excited that David is bringing her along. And actually, a portion of what we're doing in their half of the concert, which is actually most of the second half, is music from A Charlie Brown Christmas. And actually, the two of them are touring this season right now around the country, performing a tribute to Charlie Brown. So they're doing this. We're doing a portion of that show with them, and we're just really excited to get things rolling with this.
And the music from Charlie Brown is mostly jazz.
It is. Vince Guaraldi and Bill Mendelsohn wrote the music, and then David's done arrangements so that the whole orchestra will be playing with him. And he actually has joined with Bill Mendelsohn to write one particular piece that's new that wasn't in the original show. And they'll be doing a couple of other not Charlie Brown Christmas tunes necessarily, but we're going to have that feel in that second half of the show.
Well, you got all the greats here. Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride, you got Winter Wonderland, White Christmas, Christmas is Coming, My Favorite Things, Wild Child Is This, The Christmas Waltz, Carol of the Drum. Oh, hello.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm sitting there in front of the screen on my computer, right, and I'm reading through this as I'm preparing for today, and it took me forever because I had to sing all those songs to myself. It's like, man, I walked out of there and I was just smiling, and I was just, whoa, this is too cool. And I'm thinking, I got to get down there at 3 o'clock on Sunday, December 15th, and see and hear this.
Absolutely. But you probably want to make sure and get your tickets ahead of time. Because the ticket sales are going very well.
Good.
Our tickets, they're ahead of where we've ever been.
That's wonderful.
For our Holiday Pops concert right now. And actually for the whole season, we've already got more season ticket holders signed up than we've ever had. And you can still get season tickets, which gives you a 10% discount on the tickets if you buy all 4 concerts by December 15th. Our other concerts are January 26th, Broadway Pops with Jodie Benson, the original voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid. And February...
She looks like the Little Mermaid.
Oh, she's adorable.
Yeah?
February 23rd, we're going to have, again, Keola and Moanalani Beamer. We're very excited. We had them on stage with us back in 2015. It's been too long, so we're delighted to have them coming back. And then we're wrapping up on March 8th with bringing back one of our audience favorites, Capathia Jenkins, who is just a monster singer, entertainer. She is incredible. And to top it off, we're bringing with her Tony DeSara, who is a phenomenal pianist and vocalist. And the two of them have been doing things. In fact, they're touring right now, doing a holiday program together on the mainland. And it's just going to be, the whole season is really exciting. I'm just so thrilled.
I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, while I was talking about the Christmas thing, as I get onto the other shows and some of the music that these folks have been doing over the years, and it's like, man, this is like going down memory lane. Right? You know, I mean, music used to be a big part of my life. Really unbelievable part of my life. I played chamber music. you name it. Went to the music camp at Indiana University every summer, and I just, what the heck? And, and all over time, that's just kind of faded.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting here going, I need to bring this back into my life.
Absolutely.
And these are the 4 shows. Now, that'd be a perfect Christmas gift.
Absolutely. And that's,
Season
I
tickets.
just sent out an email to all our folks the other day and suggested, hey, Christmas gift idea.
Yeah.
You get it taken care of.
On that note, we'll let you all think about that while we take a break.
Aloha, this is Paul from Pacific Source. We'd like to wish everyone the happiest of holidays and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and Lock and Tina folding doors. Maybe you can give your home a holiday gift that you'll love. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380 or look us up online at packsource.com.
We're talking with Cheryl Lindley, who's the executive director of the Maui Pops Orchestra, and talking about the 4 big shows that they've got coming up, and the first one being December 15th, which is, of course, all Christmas music and the best Christmas music ever.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Now, as well as being executive director, you also play in the
Yes, I'm the
orchestra.
principal cellist with the orchestra.
And you were that first.
Yeah, I came in and was playing cello, and when our dear friend Sylvina Samuel moved back to the mainland, I assumed the principal seat, and then they brought me on board as an assistant, administrative assistant. Our organization, for a little background, the Maui Pops was formed in 2004 after the demise of the Maui Symphony. Mm-hmm. And the musicians still wanted to play. And so Jim Durham, who is our music director and conductor, he appealed to Oriole Flavel to help the musicians get an orchestra going again. And because of her support, we were able to get this orchestra up and running. And over the years, we've garnered more and more support and larger audiences, and we've just continued to get better and better, and we attract more musicians to the island. Well, one of the real fortunate things in recent years, with all of the different performing arts possibilities here with the Maui Chamber Orchestra and the performing arts, the big MAPA show in the summer, we have more and more opportunities for musicians to do enough playing that they're willing to stay here. We have had some musicians back in previous years that they just didn't get enough playing, and they finally would go back to the mainland where they could do more gigging.
Right.
But the Maui Pops Orchestra has done very well, but was run completely by a volunteer board doing all of the work to produce concerts, and there's a lot of work involved in producing concerts. So our music director, and they had one of our musicians, Julie Patel, that served as kind of a personnel manager, and she would help Jim with keeping the musicians together. And but they finally decided to hire me as an assistant to the board, essentially, administrative assistant, which was a part-time position in 2013. And within a few years, it became evident that we needed to take the next step. And so they decided we need an executive director. And I actually come from a background in nonprofit administration. I was operations manager for the Everett Symphony in Everett, Washington. So I was doing everything for that organization for a number of years. So I assumed the position of executive director July of 2017. and we're just continuing to push things forward.
Very good.
We've had increased expenses, and I've managed, with the help of my board, to bring in the additional funds that we need through donors and writing grants and all that to keep things going. So we're on a positive note, and financially we're moving in the right direction. Yeah, it's exciting.
And the list of partners is impressive that you have.
Oh, on the partners,
yeah.
This is I've got listed on our partners page, and actually, thank you for reminding me. I do need to make sure that I've got all our new advertisers on there. I think I still need to get a few. We sell advertising in our concert programs. We do a concert program that's printed. It's actually at the printers right now, and it's for the whole year. It covers all 4 concerts, and we have a terrific designer that helps lay this out, Jeff Moore of Silver Moon Design. He and I work together and put this beautiful thing. It's really more like a brochure, but it lists all of what we're doing on our concerts, the bios for the guests, and we have beautiful color ads. And then one of the perks of being an advertiser is that we also list you on our website, and you get a link,
right?
So that hopefully we're driving some business to those advertisers. It's certainly great for us to have their support,
right?
But we want to be able to thank them back.
Yeah.
So
well, it's a great the variety is what I found really interesting. You know, you go, really, they're pops, backers, supporters, lovers.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to have a relationship with the kind of music you perform to really want to sponsor it.
Absolutely, yeah. And we do have a very diverse array. So I invite everybody to check out our website at mauipops.org and just check our partners page and see all the people that are affiliating with us in that way.
And join that page.
Yeah, by all means, by all means.
That's terrific. Now, I'm thinking back to, you said the demise of the symphony back in, 2003?
I believe so, yeah. I was not on island.
A lot of their players came over from Oahu and so forth to fill in the gaps, as I recall.
Well, and even when the Maui Pops started, we were still bringing a number of people over from Oahu. Those numbers have gotten smaller because we've built our Maui. I mean, our ultimate dream, of course, is eventually to have a completely 100% Maui resident orchestra. But it's really difficult for some particular instrumentalists. The only place that they would play is in an orchestra. French horns, for example. You don't often, I don't think I've ever seen a French horn player at a wedding. Now, as a string player, I play at lots of weddings.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes you'll have a brass ensemble at a wedding. Actually, my daughters, we had a brass quintet. But there aren't a lot of opportunities for some instrumentalists to perform. So it's a little bit more challenging for that. So we're in a position where we're bringing French horns, violas, bass players, and a couple of other odds, just depending upon who's here and who's not.
Right.
But we do have a lot of good players. We've got 2 fabulous bassoon players on island, and right now we've got 2 fabulous oboe players on island.
Cool.
So
that's great.
And those are the odd instruments to have covered.
Right. Yeah. Well, I remember for many years my sister and I played at many, many weddings, flute and oboe. Mm-hmm. Perfect combination for a beautiful wedding, and the more elaborate the wedding was, the more it fit right in. Mm-hmm. And almost to the point where you say, another wedding. But I mean, again, there's not a whole lot of times when you go out. I mean, you certainly don't go out and play oboe solos all over the place, or perform for a nightclub or anything like that. But it was those were good times. I remember that as just some of the best times in the world, and especially Christmas weddings.
Oh yeah, I've played some fabulous holiday weddings.
Yeah,
I enjoy doing that. I play a lot. For weddings and receptions, I freelance wherever I can.
Yeah.
And I also teach privately. So, I just keep my hands in it wherever I can. In fact, just a little plug, because we got to enjoy a little Mannheim steamroller there in the previous break. I actually have the great honor this coming Sunday. I will be in Everett, Washington, playing with Mannheim Steamroller in their holiday concert.
Oh, can I go in your suitcase?
Oh! I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be very exciting. They do their tour, and this is the 35th year of their holiday concert tour. As they do their tour, each different location they have somebody put together a small combo. There's 9 players of local musicians we're kind of going to be off in the background.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to have been chosen to be a part of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, will you get a tape of that or something that you can
I don't know.
you can play? Or
Yeah, I don't
do
know.
you like doing that or not? Having something you can every once in a while play and
Well, actually, to be honest, not so much.
Really?
Because for me, it's in the moment.
oh, okay.
For me, live music, to listen to a live performance, or to be a part of one, it's in that moment. And oftentimes, if I've been recorded in a concert and I go back to listen to it, it's flat to me. Because even if it's a really excellent performance, which I always hope it will be, it's just missing something. I'd rather be on the stage doing it. Yeah. So I do have a lot of recordings from the Everett Symphony for the years that I played with them. We always did recordings just for the musicians to be able to have archive.
Right.
And I've got a huge bunch of them, and I just never listen to them.
I guess we always had a lot of recordings of stuff that I did, and I never could understand why people didn't get as excited about it as I did. And then as I got older, I understood. Hey, it's just another recording. It's just another playing. Something. But to me, it's me doing it.
Yeah, right.
Right. And you're right. It's in the moment is what it's all about. That's cool.
Absolutely. And that's, as a nonprofit, we are giving to the community. We are providing something for this community that is vital for everybody in all spectrums. Music is such it's a way of bringing people together. It's a win-win. Sports are great, but somebody's always got to be the loser, right?
Yeah.
This is a way of bringing people together where everybody's a winner. And culture helps community, not only by bringing people together in a common positive experience, but it's got a healing element to it that goes right to the heart. It's been a challenge articulating our results for grantors. To say that, we're going to make the world a better place and we're going to give people this wonderful experience. It's difficult when we go back to report on how well we did doing that. We can say, well, we had this many people in attendance and boy, they clapped and got on their feet. But we don't know, and we may never know how we really touched somebody where they live.
Right.
Somebody who may have been really despondent and ready to jump off the ledge and happened to come to the concert and was suddenly lifted out of that depression. Even if it's just for that afternoon, it gives them hope. It gives them a moment to say, wow, I can feel better. And so those things, they're difficult for us to be able to articulate in the long term and put on paper. If you're providing housing, you can say we gave housing to this many people, or if you're doing food services, we fed this many families. What we do is just as important. It's just much more difficult to quantify. So that's been one of our challenges, and for the arts in general, to be able to express what our true value is.
Right.
A lot of people get it. There are lots of people. Obviously, we have a tremendous level of support from individuals and organizations and grantors, foundations. But people on the outside, they don't necessarily understand. Yeah. And so I encourage everybody, if you've never been to an orchestra concert, if you've never been to a musical theater program, get out there, support your local arts, and do it. Get out there and try it, and maybe you'll like it. You never know. We had somebody attend a concert at at EL Theater. We did an ONO, the one-night-only events they have. The Wailuku Performing Arts Alliance at that time consisted of 4 organizations: Maui Pops Orchestra, Maui Chamber Orchestra, Maui Academy of Performing Arts, Maui On Stage, and the Maui Choral Arts Association. And we did an ONO thing where we brought all 5 of those groups, and we each did about 12 minutes, 15 minutes worth of what our organization does. In our case, for the chamber orchestra and the Pops, we couldn't bring the whole orchestras in. It was, so what we did was we had a string quintet. And it was all the same people because we play in both groups. It's all the same people, but we played, here's some stuff like the Maui Chamber Orchestra would do. Some nice classical. We did some Mozart and some great stuff. And then for the Pops, we did some, I don't know what we did anymore, Leroy Anderson, Irving Berlin, whatever, something, pop. And one person in that audience told a friend of mine that was there, I didn't know I liked classical music until I heard, wow, I like that too.
Well, I was just going to say that sometimes we hear the word orchestra and we get off with Bach.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, no, there's so much more that orchestras do than those great, historical pieces, highbrow, whatever you want to call them. And the Pops is perfect because that's like an introduction.
It's
light. Some of the finest music out there.
It's light and it's fun, and it's the same music that you hear when you turn on the TV, when you turn on the radio, when you turn on your video games. There's so many places that orchestral music comes to you in all forms, whether it be classical or pops. But people will recognize it, especially come and do the holiday concert because that's stuff you know.
Oh, yeah.
And once you hear the orchestra, you'll think, I need to get tickets for the rest of these.
Right.
Yeah.
So for more information, they can check out your website, which is the
MauiPops.org.
Okay, or they can give you a call.
Always 808-868-2639.
And then for tickets, it's to the MAC.
Yes. All tickets are purchased through the MAC, and they are at MauiArts.org, or you can call the box office at 242-7469.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cheryl, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be able to come and spout a little bit about our wonderful orchestra. And
oh man, this has been great. We're gonna have you back.
Okay.
Before your next performance.
Would love to come back.
You got it. Thanks, Cheryl. Merry Christmas to you
Merry
and
Christmas.
yours.
Yes.
Okay. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Please give them a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Base Yard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Pacific Source has been our sponsor from day one, and we thank them for their ongoing support. To you, our listeners, we thank you for the response our agencies get from you regarding the activities that we talk about on this program. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's mission is to provide personal and professional support to nonprofit executive directors, their organizations, and the community of Maui. Oh, hello. How do you expect me to talk through that? I can't. I've got to say goodbye. I'm going to say mahalo for tuning in, and don't forget to join us again next week. And we're going to listen to about 30 seconds worth of music here because it's Christmas time. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha, and enjoy the music.